All right, Leo. So I think a lot of you are done dealing with either a person or a situation that's been preventing you from enjoying the good in life. And it's like you're standing up for yourself now. But I also think that some of you are like dealing with a person that's acting like, if I can't have fun, you can't either. So nonsense. It's time to talk sense. And then you have milk and honey. Nonsense talks about having the courage to stand up for yourself against someone who's behaving in an unfair way. And it's you no longer being intimidated by this person. But I think for a lot of you, it could be just a situation in general that has been like holding you back, and it's unfair and you haven't been able to enjoy life. Milk and honey. This talks about prosperity, abundance, new opportunities, trusting that all your needs are going to be met. But what I found interesting here is that the protection message sounds like some of you may be pointing out somebody else's bad behavior, or it's your own bad behavior here, because nonsense talks about that, pointing out what somebody is doing wrong. But milk and honey, as far as protection, says that somebody is turning to comfort and pleasure in order to avoid what's going on. But it's only temporary. It's like looking for temporary satisfaction, but then refusing to actually deal with what's going on. So if you're dealing with somebody who is intimidating, or a situation that's intimidating, it's like you go to escapism almost. But I think that for the majority of you, though, this is going to be about you standing up for yourself. And once you do that, then you're going to be able to experience the good things in life. Now, as far as the dark mirror, you guys happen to pull one of the best cards in the deck. This deck is pretty fucking dark. There are very few cards that are light. And this one actually says that there's a little darkness in this card. So the child I was meant to be. The moon phase is full and the stage is acceptance. It says to go forward is to go backward as hope heals the wounds of the past. So this could literally be you going back to your childhood and healing childhood wounds where you may have been intimidated by somebody, which is possible, right? Or it could just be a recent event in the past that you're going back and you're healing. But it's good. All right, Leo. Here's your overall. Oh boy. The Eight of Cups. So, investing a lot into something and not getting shit out of it. That is the Eight of Cups, right? Being done emotionally, but are you moving on from it? And I hate that the word abandonment is attached to this, because I think that, is kind of why when you look at this, there's a question of whether or not somebody is actually moving on, right? So you always see the moon too with the Eight of Cups. And that's because you're taking a path where you don't know where it's going to lead, because you spent so much time with something here that hasn't been bringing you fulfillment. So some of you may be considering leaving something behind. That could be a job or a relationship, but we'll see. Oh my God. In the past, the Tower, Jesus, Leo, with the Eight of Cups. The Tower being the past, though, you've already experienced this. This is going to be something that just boom and collapses in your life, right? And I kind of get the feeling that for some of you, the reason why we're still looking at that as the past is because I don't know that it actually happened, though. And that's the thing. I don't know. I'm getting this weird feeling that you've been trying to avoid this kind of collapse or destruction in your life. Like, this isn't something that you are ready to quite deal with yet. Now, on the other hand, some of you have already experienced it. And with the Eight of Cups, you're standing in the rubble. And it's like waiting for those cups to refill, but you know that, the situation is no longer bringing you fulfillment. So it's like, why aren't you moving on? But damn, man. Okay. All right. The Ten of Pentacles in the present moment. So you're talking about overall security and stability. For some of you, yeah, it is going to have to do with family situations, but it can be work too. But I look at that, especially with the Tower, and think some of you may be questioning your overall security and stability if you move on from something. Because if you haven't yet, there is a part of you that's looking at it going, everything is going to be destroyed if I do this, but I'm not getting any fulfillment from it. But I really can't do this because I need to, keep this kind of stability in my life. financial or just within the family. But then I also think, when people go through this, it's like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to be in a place where I have to worry about losing the stability I have, even if I'm emotionally drained or wore out by what I'm doing or a relationship that you may be in. Future conditions, and there you are with strength, right? Needing to find the strength to move on, even if that means total collapse. I'm telling you, I've got this because it would have been different. It would have been different had the Eight of Cups been the past and the Tower been the overall. Then I'd been like, okay, right? You considered moving on from this, but you're going to do it in such a way where it's going to be drastic and abrupt. But I think that this is something that you've been avoiding, and you're really trying to find the strength and the courage to move on from this, whatever this is. But your stability and security it's in question, I feel like. And some of you may not be leaving a situation because it may affect a family situation. Damn, Leo. Oh, your best path to follow, the Seven of Swords. Man, your advice, I don't like it because I don't like the idea of having to do things on the down low. To me, this is almost like if you're in a really difficult situation where there is no more happiness for you, this is basically saying, rather than having everything just kind of blow up with the Tower, it's almost like we need to just do what we have to do, and there's no point in discussing it. But I don't like sneaky on the down low type shit. I mean, there's no point in that. And usually with the Seven of Swords, you always get caught. Whenever you see that, normally what follows that is somebody being caught in the act of doing something or trying to get away with something. But I don't think that that's it. I mean, it's literally, I need to take my shit and go. Take with you what you can, leave the rest behind, and it's time to move on. But for some of you, it's to the point where I think you have to do it in this way. It's almost like you have to do it in this way. Because otherwise, if there's a blow up, you might consider staying, if that makes sense. In your environment, the Seven of Cups. Yeah, I don't think that this is exactly what you had envisioned in terms of either a work or a relationship, right? Because clearly you made a choice. And you're at a 10 here. And then you have the damn Tower. But with the Seven of Cups, you're talking about wishful thinking, fantasizing, right? But I always say it's about the emotional attachment that we have to a specific outcome. But a lot of times it shows somebody who isn't willing to make something reality. But I think that in terms of the Ten of Pentacles, it's one of those things where you're not happy, you're not getting fulfillment with that Eight of Cups. But instead of really doing anything about it, right now, it's almost like I'd rather just think about how things could be or how things could have been. That, or fantasizing about other options and how that might work out for you. So I don't think that you're actually moving on. I think that this is very specifically going to have to do with the Leos that are dealing with either a situation or a relationship in their life where you have been completely drained emotionally. There is nothing left that you can give to this, but for whatever reason, you can't move on from this because it might cause too much destruction with your security and stability or within a family unit. Looking at the Ten of Pentacles, but yet you're still trying to find the courage to move on, but you don't want total destruction. But I think that that's the way that you've been looking at it in the past. But the Seven of Swords, it bothers me. It bothers me. If you are in a bad situation, then yeah, you may have to take what you can, get the hell out and not say anything. But now for some of you, it may be that you just need to be open about what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling, instead of, just acting like it doesn't exist and working on, ulterior motives, but that's the thing. I don't think that you're doing anything purposely to be sneaky or anything like that. I think that that's what you consider, but it's only because there's nothing you feel like you can do about this. Wow, man. Your hopes and your fears, the Chariot. So wanting to get things back on track, that or some of you are actually hoping to make a big move. Then again, it could be about career. And it may be that you don't want anybody to know that you're looking at other options, which is possible here. In terms of a relationship, this could literally be hoping to get things back on track, or you needing to get yourself under control and move. But I'd like to look at that as, especially considering that you don't want absolute destruction. I look at this as, you wanting to get things going in the right direction again. And then coming out the Eight of Wands. And things are going to be happening really quickly for you, I think, more so than this being about communication. But what I would say to you is that doing something in the moment may not be the best thing for you, but if you see an opportunity opening up, you do have to act. You have to take action. Because the Eight of Wands is going to be about things moving quickly, yes, but getting things lined up so that we can get to a completion. And I think for the most part in the present moment, a lot of you guys are at this place where things are good. I mean, financially being stable and everything being okay, but emotionally things are not good. So first of all, the Four of Wands, and this is where I feel like the avoidance is kind of coming through. I swear to God, it's like looking at the Tower in reverse. For me, the Tower in reverse is not about avoiding a disaster. It's about knowing that things are starting to collapse around you, but trying to avoid that from happening. You know it's coming, but it's almost like you try to hold it off. And with the Four of Wands being there, it's because there is stability within a relationship, within a marriage, possibly work for some of you. But we don't want things to be unstable. But for you, what is collapsing is what you wanted emotionally from this, and it's not being fulfilled. Now, with the Six of Swords, because of this want to maintain security and stability, I think that you're trying to move away from what is conflicting for you in this situation, in this relationship, the things that are not working out. But again, like literally moving to a calmer situation. But you're not really doing that though in the present moment, but you're trying to find the strength to do that. And then with the Emperor, order and control. And trying to get control over things that may feel like they're just all over the place though too with that Eight of Wands. So it's really up to you. Do you have the strength to get things back on track? Or is it that, you're going to have to leave this situation in order to get control over, your own life? And, both of them, the Chariot and the Emperor, right? And getting things back on track for yourself. Or is it that, you need to be open and honest with your emotions if you expect anything to get back to a place of emotional stability for you, especially with that Six of Swords being there. But the Emperor coming out with strength, I think it's a good thing for you. I don't think that this is about the controlling force. Now, for some of you, it is a question of, well, who is in control? But I think it's more so about, you kind of like, and again, right, like putting your foot down here and saying, no, I can't continue to deal with this unhappiness and this unfulfillment. So yeah, I mean, you have the Six of Swords, you have the Chariot going on here. So a new path is going to be emerging for new growth in your life and inspiration, which is good. So I think that for a lot of you, if this is going to have to do with a work situation, you're going to have to find the strength here to leave this behind, even if you have to be quiet about it. But as far as relationships go, for those of you who are dealing with that, I think it's time for you to open up and be honest about what you're really thinking and what you're really feeling. And there may be an opportunity for that with that Eight of Wands coming out. But I look at that more so as things being kind of like all over the place or up in the air. And you're really like needing to get control over things and the way things are going. Especially with the Chariot, because that could also be showing as far as the fear of you being pulled in two different directions. But regardless of what you choose to do here, whether you move on or you don't, there's still going to be a new path ahead of you for better growth and inspiration. Express love through gifts. Giving a small token to someone expresses your love to them. And then you have romance, lavish. My God, if I could talk right. The one that you love with your personal attention and affection. So it may be, if you are dealing with a relationship here, things may be coming down around you on an emotional level because there's a lack of fulfillment. But you can change that. You can change the course of that by expressing how you feel. And again, being more open and honest about how you're thinking and how you're feeling. But you also have the ability to create more affection and romance, by giving some attention to somebody else, like showing them that you care, that you recognize them. Here, let me give you a small token to show you that, I love you, I appreciate you. And that may create more romance in a relationship too. But wow, Leo, I don't like that Seven of Swords. It bothers me. Because nobody should ever have to feel like they can't be open and honest. And I do think that a lot of you are being put in that situation, but it's only because there is a lack of emotional fulfillment. But I do think that with strength, it's going to be one of two things here. You're tapping into your own energy here and trying to find the strength and the courage to move on and start, quickly working toward getting your life under control. Or you're going to find the strength here to say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done to get things back on track. And again, getting control over what's going on. That Eight of Cups to me, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. That's really your choice in what you do. But I would say that, for some of you, yeah, if it's a work situation, this is like, I don't want to talk about it because I have other options. But you need to realize those options. Unfortunately, some of you may need to make an abrupt move. But I still think that Tower is something that we're trying to avoid. But I think that you're already feeling it on an emotional level.